Welcome to Ben Rachmaninov, Vocalise by Rachmaninov. Originally written for voice, but then of course arranged for all sorts of instruments because it's just such a beautiful, popular melody. A real study in sound production. So anyway, we're going to play it for you. I'll be playing with my daughter, Elara. So let's work through this beautiful piece of music. Of course, it goes without saying you need absolutely smooth bow changes, string crossings, shifting, really fluid vibrato through everything you're doing, and a real feel for all the nuances of dynamic changes and timings. So let's work on this. So as with any piece of music, you've got to think about how you start. So we're at the heel on the down bow, we lift, land and play, and we have to time that with our 2-quaver intro from the piano. So breathe into it, that little drop onto the string, just to control what you're doing. Start moving as soon as you just wait for the piano to start. As soon as the piano starts, start moving, prepare, and play. So look out for these little nuances. The emphasis is not always where you think it's going to be. So you would think it's not. So you've got to really know all the details and control how you drift the bow in and out, and mix it with the vibrato and pressure. So let's go on. So you can see I really kind of moved into the bridge there for this just little crescendo but higher position, quite a slow bow. So we've got to mix all these aspects together to make our sound. For the first time in the piece, slightly move on, and this is marked up from piano to mezzo forte, so you've got to give a bit more depth into your sound, get a bit nearer the bridge, wider vibrato. Let's go into it. Again here, you would think it's going to go into the long note, but it's not, so be ready for it. It's a classic save, spend, move in and widen your vibrato. Sometimes it looks like my bow's the wrong way around, but I'm trying to manipulate my down and up bow. So for instance, there I have a diminuendo. So I'm using that down bow just to drift away from the bridge and lighten naturally towards the tip. So there's so many ways you can bow this. I try and go for the long slurs, but like I say, try to use the natural help of the bow, the heel when we want to be more, the tip when we want to be less. So even my semi-quavers, my vibrato just flows. There's no reason why the change of a finger should change or stop your vibrato. This is a really important thing to work on if it's something you need to develop to be able to play this piece. see just what a change I had to make. So this is really in the bridge, but by the time I finished, I was nice and floating like a feather out there on the fingerboard. And then of course the repeat, well, if you're doing ABRSM, then you're not going to do the repeat. If you're doing a general performance, it's lovely to do the repeats. Some editions tell you to go down the octave. And you can play on the G string, it's really quite nice. Personally, I actually prefer the simplicity of just staying with the same octave and just finding slightly, maybe start a little bit more pianissimo than piano the second time, and look for options. But anyway, that's something you can work on yourself. Let's go on to the next section. So should we take it from the, now we have the poco più mosso. So again, he's asking you to push the tempo on a little bit. So let's try. Difficult point we get to. You have this sudden fortissimo, he waits for it, and then fortissimo straight away, but a crescendo through the note. You've got to have your maximum there, but then suddenly save your bow so you can actually grow through it. So, takes you into the repeat. So you saw how my bow just drifted out into the piano, really lightening the vibrato, calming down, and then back into that repeat. That time I maybe move it on even more. So another example of how you can manipulate your repeat. But anyway, let's go on to the coda. Here the piano really needs to come through, so allow your pianist, who's accompanied you so beautifully, to come through here and just float your sound on top, and then you're going to take over again. You're going to use this long note again, this time starting piano and really blooming through this note to open your sound. So you've got to really save your bow and vibrato and move in to enjoy these top notes. So let's go into this long note, shall we? Just drift your bow down, make sure you peel the bow off very carefully at the end, let the sound fade. Rachmaninov writes tenuto ad lib, so you can kind of do what you want with that note. I would go down the octave, you can go up the octave, you can stay on the same notes. You can even let the piano finish a little bit after you if you like, but I think it's nice to finish together. And so anyway, that brings us to the end of this beautiful piece. You notice, I mean, just look in the score, there's hardly a bar where there are not written in hairpins or dynamic changes. So Rachmaninov has gifted you all of this. So really use this piece to develop these aspects in your playing, and of course sense of timing, quality of the shifts, and all these important ingredients we've been working on. So I hope it's helpful and you can enjoy playing this wonderful piece of music.